Welcome to Baobab Chronicles. In this season, Whispers of Truth, we have followed the echoes of our ancestors. We have walked the paths they trod and heard the songs they sang. The land remembers, even when its people choose to forget. Every grain of sand, every blade of grass is a witness to the truths we try to bury. We walk upon layers of stories. In that village, the past is often spoken of as something behind us, something buried, something finished, a ghost that no longer walks. But the past is not a place, it is a presence. It lives in the breath we take and the shadows we cast. And when it is not faced, it does not remain where it was left. Memory is a heavy thing, my children. It moves with the weight of giants across the plains of our minds, leaving footprints that the rain can never wash away. It returns. The past has come walking home, soft footsteps on dry earth, slow, deliberate, approaching. Can you hear it? The sound of yesterday coming to visit. A man comes from the shadows, unhurried, certain. He walks toward the village that once cast him out, his heart a lantern in the darkness. He does not run, for truth is never in a hurry. The stars are the eyes of those who came before. They watch as the circle begins to close and the light of old truths begins to flicker once more in the village square. No one recognized him at first, but something about his presence felt remembered, like a song you haven't heard in years, but your heart still knows the melody. The air grew cold. A dog barks, then falls silent. The animals know. They feel the return of what was lost, the return of a soul that was meant to be here. The village remains unaware, asleep in its lies. Morning light brings no comfort when the shadows of yesterday are standing in the square. The sun rises, but the darkness of the past is longer than any shadow cast by the day. Some faces are not forgotten, even when they are not spoken of. He stood like a stone in the river, letting the whispers flow around him. He was a piece of the village that had come back to fit. A name began to ripple through the crowd like a disturbance in the water. "Who is he?" they asked, but in their bones they already knew. The name they had tried to erase was back. Like a herd startled by a scent in the wind, the village stirred with an old familiar fear. The fear of being found out, the fear of the truth looking you in the eye. Nkem stepped forward, squinting against the morning light. His heart beat against his ribs like a trapped bird. "It cannot be," he whispered, his voice trembling like a leaf. Chinedu. The name was a stone thrown into a quiet pond. The ripples reached every hut, every heart, every corner of the village. The exile had returned. The river of time does not only flow forward. Sometimes it carries back what we tried to drown, and it brings it back to the shore, where we must decide whether to pick it up or push it back. The young ones asked, for they were not there when the lies were born. They saw only an old man. The elders remained silent, their eyes fixed on the dust at their feet. "He was there," she whispered, her voice breaking the silence. The day the child spoke. The secret was no longer a secret. It was a person standing right in front of them. Truth is like a lion in the shade. It does not need to roar to be feared. It only needs to be seen. And today, the lion was standing in the middle of the village. "I did not leave because I wanted to," Chinedu said, his voice carrying to the furthest hut. "I left because the truth had no place here. You made it a stranger in its own home." The child spoke, and I stood with him. I said what he saw was real, and for that, I was cast out. You chose the comfort of a lie over the pain of the truth. Lies are like vultures. They wait for the truth to die so they can feast on the remains of a village's soul. They circle and they wait, patient and hungry. "We believed you would cause panic," Nkem said, his voice hollow and small. Chinedu replied, "No, Nkem. You did not fear panic. You feared the end of your own power. If you told the truth, why didn't you stay and fight?" the boy asked. The question cut through the air like a knife. Chinedu looked at him with a deep, weary love. "To stand alone is a heavy burden, my son. Not everyone is built with the skin of a rhino to withstand the stones of a whole village. Sometimes you must wait for the land to be ready. Because truth alone does not give you power," Chinedu continued. "It only gives you clarity, and a man with clarity but without power can be removed more easily than a lie." "You left us," a woman cried out, her voice sharp with years of resentment. You left us to live in the dark while you walked away." The village erupted in a chorus of pain and accusation. When the storm of truth finally breaks, it washes away the dust, but it also reveals the cracks in the foundation. It is a cleansing that many are not ready for. "Yes," Chinedu said quietly, the noise of the crowd dying down. "I left, and you stayed. You stayed, and you fed the lie every day until it grew bigger than the truth." "What were we supposed to do?" she asked, her voice now a whisper. Chinedu replied, "Refuse it, no matter the cost. For the cost of a lie is always your own soul. A lie is a silent hunter. It follows you into your sleep and waits for you to wake up in the dark, reminding you of what you have traded for your comfort." "We were wrong," Nkem said. And he said it to Chinedu, but also to himself. And for the first time in years, the air in the village felt like it could be breathed. A young girl reached out her hand, a small spark of hope in a village of shadows. "Will you stay?" she asked. The village held its breath, waiting for the answer. Some spirits are meant to return, but they are not meant to remain. They are messengers, not residents. They come to wake us up, not to tuck us back in. "I did not return to stay," Chinedu said, his voice fading with the light. "I returned to see if anything had truly changed, if the seeds of truth could finally grow." They watched him go, and they knew that while he was gone, the truth he left behind would stay forever. It was a new resident in the village, one they could no longer ignore. The past has spoken, and its voice was the sound of a name remembered. Now, the future must decide what to do with the words it has heard. The Baobab watches. Our lives are like embers from an ancient fire. We carry the heat of those who came before us, and it is our duty to keep the flame of truth alive, even in the cold winds of convenience. Truth can be slow to arrive, but once it is here, it moves with the grace and focus of a cheetah on the hunt. It catches up to every lie, eventually. The silence of the elders is sometimes a shield and sometimes a shroud. They knew Chinedu was right, but they also knew the price of agreeing with him. It was a price they were not willing to pay. Every leaf on this tree is a story. Some are green with life, others are dry with age, but they all belong to the same root, and the root of this village is the truth it tried to hide. And Nkem learned that day that leadership is not about maintaining order, but about maintaining integrity. For an order built on a lie is just a collapse waiting for a visitor like Chinedu. At the waterhole, the lion and the zebra drink from the same source. In the end, we all must drink from the same truth if we are to survive the drought of the soul. The children do not have the layers of protection that the adults have built. They see the truth because they have not yet learned how to look away from it. Their eyes are our hope. The world is vast, and our villages are small. But the truths we live by determine the size of our hearts. Chinedu walked the vast world, but his heart remained in this small village. The return journey is always harder than the departure, for when you leave, you take yourself with you. But when you return, you must face what you left behind. Chinedu was brave enough to return. In the transition between the light and the dark, everything is revealed in its true form. The village saw itself clearly for a few brief moments today. May that clarity stay with them. Tonight, the fires burn a little brighter. The conversations are a little deeper. The name Chinedu is no longer a whisper, but a lesson. A lesson that the past is never truly gone. The night is full of voices if you know how to listen. It tells the stories of the stars and the stories of the soil. And tonight, it tells the story of the night, the past, returned walking. He paused and whispered to himself, "They have begun, but they have not finished." He knew the work of the truth was only starting, and then he continued his walk into the great unknown. The Baobab stands, a witness to all that has passed and all that is to come. It does not judge, it only remembers. And in its remembrance, we find our own. The past does not return to remain. It returns to measure. It asks, not what you remember, but what you have become. Have you become a person who can look at the truth without blinking? Remember this, my children. A truth spoken too late is still better than a lie lived forever. For the truth is the only thing that can truly set you free from the chains of the past. Walk your path with the truth in your hand, and you will never be lost, no matter how dark the savannah becomes. May your ancestors guide your steps. Listen to the night. It tells the stories that the day is too busy to hear. The Baobab remembers every story, every soul, every truth. It is all part of the great cycle. And so, under the Baobab tree, another story was remembered. Join us at Baobab Chronicles for more whispers of truth from the heart of the land. Like, share, and subscribe to keep the stories alive. Because here, every story remembers. I am your narrator, and this has been a story for your soul. Until next time.